Okay, YouTube. It's been a long day of work, and I am tired. Seems like I get tired when the day is done. I guess that may be normal for most of us. Um, so let's title this one, What Should Your Second Day of Practice Look Like? Your second time of practice, or your second, say if you're going to meet with, say if you're a beginner pianist and you come in there on your second time, let's call it your second time or your second session of practice, what should that look like? Well, in short, your piano teacher is going to give you homework, and that homework is going to be everything that you learned in your first session. So your second session is going to be a recap of what you did during your first session. That's all it should be. So it should be, okay, see if you remember. My piano teacher drew this out for me. It was a circle of fourths. And again, we're talking in the key of C, scale of C major. And help me out here, I'm a little bit slow. So yeah, it's going to be dealing. It's going to see if your second session is going to be an assessment if you actually went home to do the homework, just like any teacher would do you. So your teacher's going to sit you down, and if we're going to do a recap of what we did during our first session, I'm not going to do all of it. I'm not going to go do it 3 times for the sake of time. But it's going to say, okay, she's going to sit down and say, do you remember what key we're working in? And you're going to say the key of, babe, what key? E. She would fail. She would fail. It's the key of C. She's going to also ask you which C is it on the 88 set of keys, and it is going to be the 4th C. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's middle C. We're also going to do a recap of, let's get some fingers here. I was supposed to go and get me an overhead camera today, and I felt tired. All these aspirations when you finish your long day of work, and that just ends up just by you going home. It's saying I'll do that another day. So we're gonna work on the finger taps. Remember in the key of C, 1, 2, 3. After the finger tap, she's gonna say, or he or she is gonna say, okay, do your 5 finger patterns. If you guys are listening, write this down. Your 5 finger patterns in the key of C, scale of C major, is going to be C through G. And of course, and this is going to sound boring and repetitive, that's your 5 finger patterns. After your 5 finger patterns, it's going to say, okay, let's work on, again, inversions. I like to do inversions first. And remember, you should be doing this every single day. You're going to work on your inversions. And if you need to remember what an inversion is, it is simply taking the top of the key or the beginning of the key and placing that at the end of the line. So you're going to work on your inversions. And again, you're going to go down. That's something that was wrong. Again, C major triad, C, E, G. Again, C, E, G. And a resounding bring it home. Okay, so we did our inversions. Next thing is going to be your block chords, your hand over fist or fist over hand. Okay, your next thing that you're going to do, I'm sorry, I forgot to do your, or did we discuss that? Your 5-finger patterns up and down the scale. Okay, and then we did the inversions. Now we did the hand over fist. And again, we're working in the key of C, and you're dealing with the chord called the C major chord, which is C, E, G. And that a chord is comprised of 1, 3, 5 for your C major chord. Next thing you're gonna do, and keep this in mind, as you do this time and time again with your teacher, you're gonna get quicker, just like we're barreling through it right now. So you're gonna do your arpeggios. After your arpeggios, one other thing that we forgot to do was your C major scale. Proper hand technique, left hand. And then you're gonna do it again with your right hand. Let's see if I get that. And then you're gonna do both hands in unison. Both hands in unison. And what we're going to do after that, I believe it actually covered everything except for the Hanon scale. I'm going to say, okay, let me see what you remember from the Hanon scale. In the key of C. Remember, your Hanon scale starts off in C. We're skipping over D and going to E. Your Hanon scale. And again, these are all strength building, foundation building exercises. Now that we have covered that, that is what we actually recapped for, I believe it was 27 minutes in the first video, and we happen to do that in 8 minutes and counting. And that is what we covered. So okay, so now we're gonna get into, okay, so what else additional can we do with our second session? Well, we are going to introduce something else to you in your second session, and we're gonna talk about chords, because chords are what's going to get you playing. You know, you can play a melody of, let me see. You can play a melody of, let me see. Is that in the key of C? Oh no, that's Happy Birthday. Let me see, Twinkle, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay, what is this? Ode to Joy. Ode to Joy. Okay. I think I have that written down somewhere else anyway. Anyway, let's take the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's the melody. Back to 5. And again, I'm doing this in the key of C. Okay, so that's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in the key of C, and that's just a melody version. So what I'm going to do now, because the goal is to get you playing music ASAP. How soon, babe? ASAP. ASAP, as soon as possible, so you can build some confidence. And you're gonna be like, do we have to use a boring song like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? I'm gonna say yes. So the first chord that we talked about was your C major triad chord. Let's remember that a triad chord is composed of 3 notes. In this case, the 1, 3, and 5, which is going to be C, E as in Edward, and G as in God. So if you're playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, the first chord you want to hit is your C major chord. You guys hear that? Okay. That's the only thing I want to teach you about that chord. 1, 5, 4, 1. And we're not even going to talk about. I don't want to overwhelm you, but we're going to talk about chords. Chords. What gets you playing? Melody. Add the chords to it, your 3 note structures. Okay? Now, since we're going to talk about chords, which they're the building blocks of you beginning to play, your scale of C is comprised of actually 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Each of these notes you could build chords off of. And it also depends on the type of music that you're playing. If you're playing contemporary Christian music, CCM, a lot of just 1, 5, you know, it's a lot of simple chords. If you're playing some R&B, I'm gonna try to give you guys something different. Let me see. I feel like I'm doing that song in the wrong key. I haven't played it such a long time, but that's kind of let me see. Okay, let me see. So those are totally different sounding chords. They're not your basic 3-note chords. And that song, Bonnie Raitt wrote that song. What's the name of that song? That's my beautiful wife singing. But as you can see, we're now dealing with 7 notes. So R&B of course sounds different. Then you got say blues, which is let me see. Let me see. Anyway, different styles of music are going to dictate different chords and different playing styles. Classical music, again, I know you guys are going to get tired of hearing it. Let's go with that. So we went from classical to something completely different, jazzy, 7 chords. But chords are going to be the building blocks of your song. You got your melody, and then you have your chords. Your chords are kind of going to be your harmony. Twinkle, twinkle, back to the 4, little star. And your chords in your left hand is also going to keep the timing of the song. To your tonic, meaning the beginning. So we're going to start talking about chords within your second session, because that's actually going to get you to playing. Your first chord that I want you to familiarize yourself with is your C major triad. C, E, G. Now we're going to go from major, happy sounding. Your next chord I want you to familiarize yourself with is a minor sound. C, E, G. And to make that sound minor, you're going to take the third, which is the E, and you're going to go down a half step or a semitone. You guys kind of feel that? Okay. Then you got your major chord, major triad, C major triad, your C minor triad. This is all in the family of C. Next we're gonna hit up a diminished sound. In the diminished sound, puts a little tension on it. So we're actually went from major, raise that third up, or go down that third on a semitone. To get a diminished sound, we're gonna take your fifth, which is G, and you're gonna go up into your, I really need to get, I get that. Up into your left for your diminished sound, and then we're gonna have an augmented sound. Your augmented sound is you're gonna go back to your major sound, C, E, G. You're gonna take your fifth, and you're just gonna go up a half step. If I'm correct about that. I hope I'm correct. I used to think it was that, but I think it's that. Okay, so major chord, minor chord, diminished chord, augmented chord. And what this is going to lead to is eventually, you know how we're doing our inversions? I'm going to have you do your inversions in a C minor sound. No, not that one. So I'm going to have you hit those chords up in the same fashion as we did the C major chord. Same thing with also the arpeggios. You're going to get to the point where I'm going to have you start off in the C major. Now diminish. Now we're going to go augmented. We're going to be able to do all of that by the time we finish going through the key of C. So Your second lesson is just introducing you into one more step. We're going to go from the C major to your C minor. That's all we're going to work on so far, even though we talked about C major, C minor, diminished, into your augmented. Augmented. There you go. We're also going to work on your speed and your dexterity. And again, as soon as we feel kind of excited about that, we're going to also throw in some metronome with it. Let me hit a tempo tap. Always practice with a metronome. Double time. I can't even do triple time. I'm too old for that. But we're gonna get there. But that's some of the things that we're gonna talk about in your second session. Your second session, which should be a step up from your first session. It's like, okay, I learned all that in the first. Okay, if I ask you, okay, well, what did you learn in your second session? You're just gonna be like, well, I learned that there's a C minor triad, which is gonna be C, E flat, and then G. That's all you can take away from it. You can do so many things with that. Also, you can kind of do the Hanon scale, but keep in mind, all this again takes time. It's going to take repetition. You should also develop a binder. And within this binder, if you guys can see what is in this binder, heart to heart, there it is right there, C major scale. That's exactly what we're talking about. So in your binder, which is going to have scale paper, you should also be drawing out your C major scale. And keep this in mind when you sit down with your piano teacher, you're doing an hour a session, 1 hour a session. So if there's anything that you need clarification on, leave a comment in the comment section. After this session is over, I got a dog that's up to mischief. Get out. Okay, you guys didn't see that. Anyway, I might ask you to, to play a song that we're working on, and you might say, well, how do we play a song when we don't even know how to read the notes? What if you don't know how to read the notes yet? So we're going to also incorporate that within our second session. And I was just reading that. I need a PowerPoint presentation. Let me see if I can get some staff paper. I should have some. Whew. Don't worry, we're gonna get through this. Blank. This here is called staff paper. And this is where we're going to start talking about music theory. That is your G clef, that is your bass clef, your treble clef, and your bass clef. So you'll be reading from 2 lines. If you notice here, there are a series of 4 spaces and 5 lines. In the key of C, there's an acronym for those 4 spaces, and I like to begin with the lines. Your first line at the very bottom is going to be, don't mind this, I'll get you some fresh one. That's actually going to start off E. Your first line is going to be E. Every second line is going to be G. Every good boy, the third line, deserves food. And since we're working in the key of C, if you take it one line lower, which I'll have this drawn out probably by tomorrow, that's where C begins at. So every good boy deserves food. That's going to get you to reading. Your next set of reading is going to be for, and keep this in mind, we're talking about within the first clef, you know, your treble clef, G clef. Those spaces stand for F, A, C, E. And these are all notes. All notes. And when I have something to look at my hands, and I'll put them down, F, A, C, E. Every good boy deserves food. There's food right there. And this is all within the right hand. Now, if you take it to the bass clef, your first line in the bass clef always is going to begin on G. For the sake of you sing, G is going to be good boys deserve food always. And you should do this religiously. Your next set of spaces in the bass clef is going to be A, C, E, G. A, C, E, G. So, say if we take the song, which is written in the key of C, there's no sharps, there's no flats. There's your G clef, there's your bass clef. No sharps, no flats, that means it's in the key of C. And if you look at your first note there, it's actually C right there. So, so when you sit down to play it, if you want to get to playing it, so I'm doing. Stay tuned for more. We're going to talk about playing, and I promise my darling wife and assistant, you gonna make sure I get an overhead camera, right, babe? Yeah. She's gonna make sure I get an overhead camera. I do have Meticulous, but after a long day, I don't feel like setting it up. I used to have it. I used to have an overhead camera, and I feel like I need some lights so you guys can see what I'm playing. If you're already an intermediate player of sorts, I might say, hey, let me hear what you've been working on. I want to hear a. Sorry. I want to hear what you've been working on till I'm tired of hearing it. Till I'm here. And that's the only way. That's what Steeple Carl did. That's what Steeple Carl did. I had to throw that one in there. So we want to get you to playing. So I want to hear what you guys have been working on, and I'm probably want to take you through a series of songs. As soon as we even get to improvising, I might ask you to improvise. We're gonna enjoy this journey. So take away from all this, what's your second session gonna be like? It's just gonna be like just throwing in one additional chord. and that's going to be your C minor chord, which is your C, E flat, G. Peace.